Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into Alice Weidel, the co-leader of the Alternative for Deutschland, also known as the AfD, and her influence on German politics. She's an economist and a controversial figure, but we're going to go beyond the headlines to understand her political journey.
To get a grasp on Alice Weidel's impact, we have to start with the bedrock of Germany's post-war political system. After World War II and the horrors of the Nazi regime, Germany very deliberately structured its political system to avoid the resurgence of extremist ideologies.
This system is really different from what you see in some countries with a winner-take-all election approach. Germany uses proportional representation, which means that seats in parliament are allocated proportionally to the votes each party receives. So if a party gets 30% of the vote, they get around 30% of the seats. This makes sure that different voices are represented and pushes parties to work together.
Germany also uses federalism, which splits government powers between the national government and individual states, kind of like the U.S. system. This decentralizes power further, making it harder for any single group to get too much power.
And to really make sure things are balanced, Germany set up a strong system of checks and balances within its government. Like the judiciary, which interprets laws, is independent from the legislative and executive branches, so no one branch gets too powerful.
All of these measures are written into Germany's basic law, which is like their constitution. It protects fundamental rights and freedoms like freedom of speech, assembly, and religion, while putting strict limits on extremist political activity. It was specifically designed to prevent concentrated power and protect individual liberties.
For decades, this system kept far-right ideologies out of German politics. The memory of Nazism and the way the political system was designed created a strong resistance to extremism. But as we moved into the 21st century, things started to change, setting the stage for parties like the AfD to come up.
Two big things happened that contributed to this shift: the 2008 financial crisis and the 2015 European refugee crisis. The financial crisis created economic anxiety and uncertainty for a lot of people, making the ground fertile for populist movements.
And in 2015, Europe's had a large influx of refugees escaping conflict, and Germany decided to take in over 1 million refugees. While this was driven by humanitarian goals, it also sparked a backlash, especially in areas that were already struggling economically.
The AfD was founded in 2013, focusing on economic worries, especially about the euro currency and Germany's role in bailing out other Eurozone countries. They saw these anxieties as an opportunity and shifted from economic issues to a platform built on nationalism and anti-immigration policies.
It's interesting how the AfD's platform changed to fit the political climate. They were successful in tapping into worries about cultural change and national identity that were coming up in response to the refugee crisis. This is where Alice Weidel became a key player in the AfD.
Alice Weidel joined the AfD in 2013, bringing with her experience in economics and international finance. She has a PhD in economics and worked in the private sector. Her economic expertise and the way she communicates quickly moved her up in the party.
Weidel's rise happened at the same time as the AfD's move towards nationalism and anti-immigration policies, and she became a crucial figure in explaining these new priorities. She can blend her economic expertise with nationalist rhetoric, which attracts a wide range of voters.
Weidel has very carefully made a public image that combines being a polished economist with the strong language of a nationalist. This lets her talk to audiences who might be drawn to her economic arguments, as well as people who find her nationalist messages appealing. It's a powerful combination that has made her a major force in German politics. So to really understand Alice Weidel's political goals, you got to look at her ideology, which is a mix of economic conservatism and a strong focus on nationalism and identity politics.
When it comes to economics, Weidel is all about free markets, getting rid of regulations and tax cuts. She thinks these will make the economy grow, create jobs, and make Germany more competitive globally.
She's actually suggested some specific things to make this happen, like lowering corporate taxes to bring in foreign investment and help businesses grow in Germany. She argues that Germany needs to stay competitive in the global market and that lowering taxes will encourage businesses to stay in Germany.
Yeah, and another big part of her economic platform is deregulation. She says that too many rules hurt businesses, especially small and medium-sized ones, which she sees as the backbone of the German economy. She thinks that by cutting red tape and bureaucracy, businesses can innovate, grow, and create jobs.
And along with those ideas comes her focus on being responsible with money. She criticizes what she sees as too much government spending and wants a balanced budget. She thinks that making the government smaller will free up resources for the private sector, which is a classic free market idea.
But it's important to remember that Weidel isn't just about economics. Nationalism and identity politics are big for her too. And this part of her platform has really shaped the AfD's agenda and connected with certain voters in Germany.
Weidel talks a lot about preserving culture and sees immigration as a possible threat to Germany's cultural fabric and national identity. She's been a big critic of Germany's immigration policies, especially how they handle asylum seekers. She wants stricter border controls and way fewer refugees allowed into the country.
She says these measures are needed to protect German culture and traditions from what she sees as the bad effects of globalization and lots of immigration, which is similar to right-wing populism that's been growing in different parts of the world.
Weidel is also really critical of the European Union. She sees it as taking away German sovereignty and thinks Germany should have more control over its own affairs, especially when it comes to economics and immigration. This Euroscepticism was a core part of the AfD's platform from the beginning, and it's still a big theme in Weidel's speeches.
This focus on national sovereignty and cultural preservation really resonates with some German voters who feel like their values and way of life are threatened. They feel like they're losing their national identity and see Weidel's message as a way to get that control back.
And it's worth pointing out that Weidel's communication skills are a big reason why she connects with voters. She's good at using populist language and social media to reach people who are disillusioned with politics. She bypasses traditional media and speaks directly to her supporters.
She knows how to create simple emotional messages that tap into people's worries and hopes, which is really important in the age of social media where people have short attention spans. There's just so much information out there.
And her online presence got even bigger when Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, endorsed her. Musk saying that the AfD is the last spark of hope for Germany caused a ton of controversy, with critics saying he was meddling in German politics and worrying about foreign influence in their elections.
We don't know the long-term impact of Musk's endorsement yet, but it definitely made the AfD more known internationally and spread Weidel's message to a wider audience. This whole thing shows how technology, global figures, and local politics are all connected, which is something to think about as social media keeps changing and shaping public opinion.
Another interesting part of Weidel's political career is her relationship with Russia. Her trip to Moscow in 2021 and her support for ending sanctions on Russia have raised questions about the AfD's foreign policy.
Critics say that Weidel is too friendly with Russia and their goals, and that her position weakens Germany's commitment to its allies, especially since Russia invaded Ukraine. They think her views could hurt Germany's standing internationally and cause problems within the Western alliance.
But Weidel defends her position, saying that talking and engaging with Russia is important for peace and stability in Europe. She thinks sanctions haven't worked and have only hurt regular Russian citizens, which is a controversial view, but some people who believe in diplomacy as the main way to solve international conflicts agree with her.
Her pro-Russia stance has gotten criticism from all sides of German politics. It's also made people look closer at her ties to Russia and question how much influence Russia has within the AfD, which is a bigger worry now because of what's happening in Ukraine and all the geopolitical tension.
Right. Alice Weidel's pretty outspoken, and her strong critiques of immigration and the EU have definitely caused controversy. Her remarks are often seen as inflammatory and divisive, and they've started some pretty heated debates and even led to accusations that she's adding to an atmosphere of intolerance and xenophobia.
Critics say she's using people's anxieties for political gain, playing on fears about cultural change and national identity. They argue that her words have emboldened far-right groups and made hate speech and discrimination worse.
But Weidel defends her statement, saying they're just expressions of legitimate concerns about the effects of mass immigration and the erosion of national sovereignty. She presents her views as defending traditional values and rejecting what she sees as the downsides of multiculturalism and globalism.
This clash of ideas really highlights the deep divisions in Germany about basic issues like immigration, national identity, and Germany's place in the world. These divisions have become more and more obvious lately as the AfD has grown challenging the usual political norms.
Weidel's leadership has also run into problems within the AfD itself. The party has a bunch of different views, with tension between moderates and those who want a more extreme approach. This internal conflict has sometimes threatened to break up the party and forced Weidel to carefully deal with these different groups, trying to balance being practical with sticking to their ideology.
Yeah, her skill at bridging those gaps has been key to her success in becoming co-leader. But the AfD's internal struggles show how hard it is to lead a party with so many different opinions.
And to add to the complexity, Weidel's had to deal with more scrutiny because of her connection to Elon Musk and her pro-Russia stance. Musk's endorsement of the AfD made people worry about social media platforms giving a voice to extremists, while her ties to Russia have led to investigations into potential foreign influence on the party.
These controversies have for sure hurt the AfD's image and made people question their commitment to democratic principles. But the party's success in elections shows that their message still connects with some German voters.
Weidel's impact on German politics is undeniable. Her leadership of the AfD has turned it into a major player, shaking up the established political order and challenging the main parties.
Her running for chancellor in the next election will be a big test for both the AfD and the German political system. Whether she can form coalitions will be really important for her to win. But so far, other parties haven't wanted to work with the AfD because of their extremist views. This isolation could make it hard for her to turn electoral success into real political power.
The AfD's election strategies have focused on using their online presence and getting their base excited. They've been really good at using social media to get their message out, bypassing traditional media and speaking directly to voters who feel ignored by mainstream politics.
Their online campaigns often target younger voters, playing to their concerns about jobs, cultural change, and the future of Germany. This approach has worked at making the party more visible and normalizing their presence in political discussions.
Weidel's leadership has definitely made German politics more polarized. Her rhetoric and policies have deepened divisions in society, especially about immigration, national identity, and Germany's role in Europe. The AfD's success has forced mainstream parties to address these issues and rethink their own positions.
Some parties have moved their rhetoric to the right to try and win back voters who went to the AfD, while others are sticking to their commitment to tolerance, diversity, and international cooperation. We don't know the long-term consequences of this polarization yet, but it's definitely changed how German politics work.
Alice Weidel's political journey is similar to other far-right leaders who have become prominent in recent years, like Marine Le Pen in France and Matteo Salvini in Italy. These leaders have tapped into populist feelings, turning worries about globalization, immigration, and cultural change into political power.
They all talk about national sovereignty, preserving culture, and rejecting the liberal world order. But Weidel's focus on economics sets her apart from some of the others who support protectionist economic policies.
Her emphasis on free markets and fiscal conservatism fits with the AfD's roots in the Eurosceptic movement, and its appeal to German voters who prefer economic liberalism to social welfare programs.
Alice Weidel's rise to power shows the complicated and changing political scene in Germany and beyond. Leading the AfD, she's brought to light issues that have been bubbling under the surface of German society for a long time. Her skill in combining economic conservatism with nationalist rhetoric has been effective in getting support from voters who feel left behind by mainstream politics.
The AfD's success has raised some deep questions about the future of Germany, its role in the world, and how strong democratic institutions are when faced with growing populism and nationalism. It's a story that will continue to develop in the years to come, and it offers important lessons about how far-right politics work in the 21st century and the challenges facing liberal democracies everywhere.
And that's it for our deep dive into the life and career of Alice Weidel, co-leader of the AfD.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.